May 23rd. We'll start with Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ready. Adoption of the agenda. I thought we'd take 12 since we got a small crowd here dealing with that and move it up to 6.5 right after Wharf.
Okay.
Taking 8 off.
Well,
Oh, no,
two.
just the Peabody.
Just say two.
Ooh.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
6.5?
6.5. Nice. Good with that? Public comment? No?
At the end.
Great.
We move on.
Select board announcements?
I just want to say, there are a lot of small business signs appearing all over town that they're in violation of our sign ordinance. And Code's office is charged with dealing with that, and they're overwhelmed with other stuff, so they haven't dealt with them. But just so you know, and attaching things to utility poles is a big no-no. That's private property owned by the utilities, and you shouldn't attach anything to them, yard sale signs or anything. So, don't put up any more signs. So,
I have a question at the end about that, but you want me to do it right now?
No, too late.
hang on to it.
Oops.
The town administrator's report?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. I have a couple of recommendations to put forward to the board tonight for hiring positions here at the town of Harpswell. The first one is Chloe Kilborn. We are recommending that she be hired for the park monitor and waterfront technician position. She is currently a full-time employee with the Maine Department of Marine Resources as a marine resource specialist, I guess one. There must be different designations. She has previously worked as a park monitor at Eagle Island, Popham Beach, and some other state parks. So she's going to continue working her full-time job. She'll be working for the town of Harpswell on weekends. She has water quality experience, so she's interested in both the monitoring of our town lands and helping the Harbor and Waterfront Department with some of the work that it's doing, both in water quality areas and also, I think, out on the boat. There might be some time that is spent on the boat as well. So it seems to be a great fit. The harbor master and I interviewed a couple of candidates, and we're recommending Chloe Kilborn.
I move that we hire Chloe Kilborn.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you. And the second recommendation for hire is for our new position, communications specialist. We did not have many applicants, but I have to say, we think we have ended up with an outstanding candidate. This person has a Bachelor of Arts in Public Policy from Michigan State University, is close to finishing up his Master's of Science in Computer Science at Northeastern University in Portland. Very strong technology skills, has previous communications experience as a legislative aide in Michigan. His name is Jim Babarski. He's the son of another, James Babarski, in case people are confused. The interview team consisted of Select Board member David Shipman, Deputy Town Administrator and Treasurer Terry Gaudet, and myself, and we really believe that he's going to be a great person to help us continue with the implementation of hybrid meetings and improving our communications across all platforms. So,
Great.
really pleased to recommend his hire.
I move that we hire young James Babarski.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And the other issue I have tonight is I wanted to make the Select Board and obviously the town aware that we received a preliminary proposal from Revision Energy. This is what we consider an economic development proposal. I received it in writing this past week. The company is proposing that it would like to consider leasing 5 acres of Mitchell Field for a community solar farm. It was put together by Michael Bartner, who works for Revision Energy, and he will be here in 2 weeks to present the proposal to the town. As part of the town's policy, when we receive something like this, the select board is often considers sending it to the committees that might be dealing with these kinds of issues. So you may want me to forward the proposal to the Mitchell Field Committee, Energy and Technology, and obviously we'll be posting it online too. So wanted to make you all aware of that.
You may want to, I do want you to.
Okay, so those 2 committees, any other specific committees for this type of proposal?
I don't think so.
Okay.
See if it gets past Mitchell Field Committee.
What does the town benefit from?
They're proposing revenue, lease fees. Yes.
The amount to be,
Well, I mean, they do
No,
put,
it's
they do
in.
put the amount out. I think, that's all could be negotiated, but a considerable amount of money over a 20-year period or 35-year period. It would have to go to a town meeting before the town could agree to anything. But this is just the very beginning. And I will say Revision wants to be very upfront, transparent. They're not asking for an executive session with the select board at this time. They want this proposal to be out there for the community to think about and for the town to consider.
Great.
They've been here before, like 30 years ago.
Yeah, I just,
It didn't.
can't recall
It
how-
didn't get to a proposal of any sort.
It didn't-
was a
didn't go very far.
discussion.
it was
Yeah.
really more
Yeah.
a conceptual conversation, I think, at that time.
the point is they're really hot for Mitchell Field because they get extra points. They're dealing with the brownfield, and Mitchell Field is considered brownfield. so.
Thank you.
Is that good? Consent agenda.
Well, there's one thing before you, on the minutes, under item 7, which is the 4.4. It's Roger Allard, Allen,
Okay.
about halfway down on the right-hand side.
We'll get that.
Yeah. So otherwise, I move we approve the minutes as amended and authorization of the warrants.
Second.
All in favor? All right. Wharf applications.
Tim Clark codes. We have 2 wharfs in front of us to be approved. First one is Long Bottom at the 65 Pinkham Point Road, or map 45, lot 65. This one went through planning board. It's a commercial wharf. There are 2, I believe, it should be approved with 2 exceptions. One is for the easement for the side floats and for the trees that are in the process of being planted. We want to just be happy with what has been done and what should be done.
So Tim, can you just, I'm not sure if it's very clear in the select board's package, because I could not make out the tax map that was posted
Okay.
with that package, but I went down to your office today, and Denise and Margaret helped me. So Long Bottom owns lot 65 on
Right.
Pinkham Point. In front of that lot, and that lot has a skinny portion, 30 feet wide, that goes to the water where the existing wharf is.
With the existing wharf was, correct.
And then on one side is Weber's Wharf, and they've signed off on a reduction to the sideline setback for this wharf. And then the other lot on the other side of the wharf, while it's owned by Jane Waddle and John Powers, it's the same owners that own Long Bottom, but technically they're 2 separate owners.
Correct. That's,
Because it's Long Bottom LLC or something like that, Henry LLC. And so the easement that you're requiring is not, it doesn't meet the 25-foot setback to Weber's property, and it doesn't to their own Waddle and Powers property, but it is fully contained on their own
Property.
land property. But then the wharf extends, and there's a float
Float.
that goes in front of the Jane Waddle and John Powers' property. So you had a concern about the riparian rights, and you stated that to them, and they resolved that by this easement.
Correct.
Right.
Got it.
Okay. And so that it would be a condition of approval if the select board sees it appropriate to approve it tonight, that easement get
Approved first.
executed.
Executed and
And
recorded.
recorded at the registry of deeds.
Right.
And then what was your second proposed condition?
Well, there was some trees that were in question that were cut, and we had requested X amount of trees to be planted at an X size, and I just went there the other day to take photos of those, and I think we need just more discussion.
So prior to, if the select board approves this evening with those two conditions, that condition is prior to you issuing the permit?
Yes.
You need to be satisfied with the
Satisfied.
replanting plan.
Correct.
There's an earlier replanting plan we did about 6 years ago there. They literally cut a tree down on the water.
Mm.
So, I don't know if that ever get followed up on.
I'll have to look into that. This
Yeah.
was just recent of what
Yeah.
I was aware of.
This was, Ellie was still here, so it was a while ago.
Okay.
All right,
I'm good with those conditions.
yep. With the condition that just stated by the Assistant Town Administrator, I move to approve the application as the harbor master indicates there's no hazard of navigation, no injury or rights to others in relation to fishing, fouling, or navigating.
And second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The second wharf is, whoops, I did that backwards. Is here off of Dowdy Point, a new subdivision. Off of, the new road name is Driftwood Tide Lane. Again, the planning board had a site visit and approval. It has its own access, meets all of the subdivision requirements. There is one lot there already that was not part of the subdivision. So I don't know if they're going to include it with this or not, or if they're going to put their other, I think their discussions are still going. But for whatever it is, met all the requirements that meet for the subdivision.
So this is a community walk.
It is a
Yeah.
community wharf. Yes, thank you.
I'm good with it.
You good with it? All right, I move to approve the application as the harbor master indicates there's no hazard of navigation, no injury to the rights of others in relation to fishing, fouling, or navigating.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. All right, appointments to Aquaculture Working Group. Conservate. Where is that?
Number 12.
All right, we had a list of 12 or so applicants, and what,
You got a complete application
right,
today.
yeah, I counted him in the,
Because we had a list posted online, but we did get a name late this afternoon.
yeah,
Carl Eschel.
Ash Schultz.
That makes 9 that officially apply. Others are just.
And initially, I,
So we had 12 people express interest. in
right,
the town.
and initially I said we'll keep it at 7, but I amended to 8, just to make sure we get all aspects of what we need on that committee.
Right.
So I talked about it with the harbor master and David a little bit last night. What we came up with is Samantha Bohan, Darcy Kuchar. They both are oyster farmers. Matt Gilly, lobsterman, who fishes most of the Eastern Bay. Jerry Lehman III. Jay McCrae, in case we need any guidance later on as far as legislation. Chris McIntyre, fishes the Western Bay. Billy Saxton, chairman of the Harbor and Waterfront Committee. David Wilson, chairman of the Marine Resource Committee. That would be our list.
Don't you need an odd number?
Not
Not
necessarily.
necessarily.
but-
No, I don't
Not
think we do.
necessarily.
Not necessarily.
When you vote vote, how are you gonna?
Well, for committees, we do, but working groups, not necessarily.
This is a working group. And I think we discussed maybe having it a half hour before either the harbor and waterfront or half hour before marine resources, an hour before. So,
Oh, so there'll
are you
be,
good with that, David?
Yep.
Yes,
Maybe have the meeting half hour, an hour before your meeting.
yeah.
We can get together, discuss the agenda. All right.
good,
You good with that,
yes.
David?
Is that, did you make a motion? Is that-
I make a motion.
I'll second it.
I'm good with it.
Any discussion? None? In that case, all in favor?
Aye. Good,
All right.
great.
Harpswell request for the use of Mitchell Field.
Mr. Chairman, would you address the second part of number 12?
Oh, sorry. Yep.
Buried down in here.
Yep. The Conservation Commission.
Yeah.
Abby Roche.
Thanks. I was wondering how to pronounce that. I move we appoint Abby
Abby
Roche to
Roche.
the Conservation Commission.
Sorry about that.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks. Back to Harpswell.
what number are we now? Number 7.
Back to 7.
7.
This is their annual summer
Summer Wing Day.
thing. Yeah,
The only difference this year is they're not going to have the big tent this year. They will adhere to the porta potty requirements. They've paid the fees, have provided insurance, and it's for July 21st with a rain date of August 18th. The donor advertiser appreciation event, music of Harpswell.
I move we approve it.
second,
All in favor? Oh, here we go. Mooring late fees and dinghy fees.
Mr. Chairman, I think
You
you're.
skipped over
Number
8.
8.
We skipped over
The first
8.1.
8A, 1.
Sorry about that.
So this is a proposal from Coral Palmer, that's the town's engineering firm. They're proposing to do a sea level rise road vulnerability assessment of Dingley Island Road Bridge and Lowell's Cove Road. And, oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Mary Ann. Oops.
Sorry, Mary Ann.
So we have before us a proposal from the town's engineering firm, Goral Palmer, and we have received a grant for most of this work from the Department of Transportation. The Goral Palmer team is going to look at sea level rise issues with respect to Dingley Island Road Bridge and Lowell's Cove Road on Oars Island. And I don't know if Mary Ann would like to add some detail to some of the work that they'll be doing. She's the chair of our Climate and Resiliency Committee and also chair of the Conservation Commission, and she was instrumental in getting $50,000 from DOT to undertake the study, with the town putting up a possible match of $8,000.
Hello, I'm Mary Ann Nave, Chair of the Conservation Commission and Resiliency Committee.
Your microphone is on, right?
It is.
Okay, good.
Is yours?
Yes.
Okay, great, thanks. Back to the grant. Basically, the Conservation Commission has been looking at the most vulnerable roads that will be affected by sea level rise that are town roads, and we came up with 6. And one of them was the Basin Point Road, which we did a engineering assessment on a number of years ago. We are currently in the process of doing the same type of assessment on Abner Point Road and Bethel Point Road at Hen Cove Bridge. This would be the last 2 of the 5 that will be affected by less than 3 feet of sea level rise. And we were able to put a grant together, and it will do a top-level engineering assessment for the bridge at Dingley Island and Lowell's Cove Road.
I know, it's hard to keep them all
I
straight.
keep forgetting them. And we would expect to have that completed, I think, by the end of the year.
Does it involve community meetings with people in those areas?
Yes, thank you for
Okay.
asking on that.
Thank you.
As part of the project, when Goral Palmer puts it together, they will go out and have meetings with the stakeholders as they're doing work, as well as we'll have a workshop here for anybody on those roads to come in and get a sense of the project in more detail, and also take feedback from them of, some issues that they might have.
Just the people on those roads, or the people that use those roads, will be able to have a public comment.
Anyone can have a public comment when they come to a meeting.
Okay?
However, it's,
When you said just for the stakeholders.
I'm
the people
sorry.
that live on the road.
but basically, it is directed for those that are completely involved with the work that's being done.
I'm just trying to figure out what that's gonna do to the Maricopa boat launch, if you go 5 feet high there.
Yeah.
Well, that is part of the project that they're working on as well. That is considered as part of what they have to figure out.
It's the same problem with Lowell's Cove Road.
Yeah,
It just, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah. But at any rate, to your point, when we have a meeting, if you would like to be notified, be happy to send you a notification. We send direct notifications for those that are on the roads themselves. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Okay.
I move we engage Goral Palmer for a fee not to exceed $58,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Now the mooring late fees.
So on the mooring late fees, the harbor master has recommended, in discussion with the clerk's office and the town's administration, that the select board essentially create a grace period for late fees for moorings. This was the first year that the town apparently did not send out postcard reminders, and I think we had over 200 people who were late paying. And we've been getting a lot of feedback from those people saying that they relied on those postcards. So we are supportive of this recommendation that the select board would establish a grace period, and it would go until July 1st, 2024. And then the late fee would be applied after that date of July 1st. And we will send out postcards to all of those folks who have not paid their mooring fee, have not re-registered. And if the board approves this proposal, we would not charge a late fee, and we would obviously refund people who paid late fees. I think I was told that was about 35 people, but that could be, it could be a little bit larger, that number at this point.
Those people that read their email?
Well, I don't know if you're aware, but there's an online system that the harbor master's office has instituted. And not everyone is completely comfortable with doing things online. We do hear this at meetings where people like getting online communication, but some people still like to get paper, postcard, that kind of thing. So we're trying to take that into consideration here and recognize that not everyone received their email reminder, or they're not signed up. I'm not really sure how that all happened, or some people said that it was confusing, that they got an email and they were confused by it. So we've just had a lot of feedback about why people have been late. I think it was primarily not getting a reminder postcard for people who have come to rely on that
Yeah.
and may not be comfortable with the online system.
Got it.
Not surprised.
Can I get my money back until June?
You'll get, if you paid a late fee, you'll
July
get
1st.
I
refunded.
didn't pay a late fee, I got mine on time. I paid a late fee a couple years ago, and I wasn't very happy about it.
Oh, yeah, nice try getting that one back.
Yeah.
I don't expect
I move we waive the late fee on moorings until July 1st.
Second.
All in favor? And the next one is the fees for Potts Point Dock, even though there is no dock. The floats are out, and the harbor master installed a haul-off system. So, so the 25 people who signed up, they haven't paid yet, but since it is more or less up and running, that we have them pay their late fees of the 25 that signed up January 1st.
Well, there's no late fee,
No,
but
late
just
fee.
pay the dinghy fee.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
We
Okay.
talked about a late fee.
Oh, gee.
So are we providing a dinghy on that haul
No,
off?
no. They're the floats, here's the haul-off. And possibly, the town ramp was saved when the wharf went down, so.
Right.
And harbor master drilled pins in the ledge, so Dolphin Marina said they could bring the ramp over with a crane truck and set it in place so they can get down to the low water mark.
So there's no stairway up?
No.
No, so it's going to be a ramp to the float.
That's what we're thinking.
So my question is, we have a float with dinghies around it. How do you get out to it?
Well, I think what they're thinking is a designated dinghy that stays on the haul-off all the time. So it's either out to the float or it'll probably stay out the float all the time. Then, you know, it's gonna be a pain, but
Yeah.
it's the only way they're gonna get to the moorings.
Okay. So,
So
so we need to
we're
reestablish
continuing the
the,
$25 fee as
Yeah,
usual.
Exactly, yeah.
yeah, I move
okay.
That reserves their spot.
we reestablish that fee.
Second.
All in favor? All right. The draft of the June 15th special town meeting warrant.
So I just want to reiterate that this is a draft. We're not asking the board to approve this tonight, but we're trying to give people a heads up about some of the items that are likely to appear on the June 15th special town meeting warrant. First and foremost, the town has been informed that we must adopt a new floodplain management ordinance and new flood map for the town of Harpswell, flood insurance rate maps, before June 20th of this year, or else we could be suspended from the program.
I have heard from a few people that the changes in the ordinance that the state sent down, they're happy with the changes.
So we are hearing that there was a good reception to using the term designated professional in one of
Yes.
the new areas. But then we just got an email last night saying that the professional board of engineers at the main level, we're still looking at that language.
Good gravy.
Yeah, I know.
Never mind.
Of course they are.
The other thing we heard is there was concern in Harpswell about the 200 square foot, you know, fish shed or
house.
something, a structure on a wharf. They said they're continuing to look at that, but they're not prepared to make any change at this time. So that's something we might have to come back to the town with. The 200 square foot piece is in our current ordinance. So they're saying it's not entirely new. You can get a variance to it, but they're not ready to make a change there at this point. So I think we were feeling pretty comfortable about the change from engineer in that one section to design professional. So we're hoping that that stays. We were told that FEMA was okay with that language and the state floodplain, office, floodplain management office, but now we're hearing there's some pushback from the, I guess, professional engineering aspect of state government. So that, I don't know what to tell you on that one at this
Yeah.
point. But we do have a public hearing next Wednesday at Harpswell Community School to talk about, the latest version of the floodplain management ordinance. And we will have an open house from 5:30 to 6:30 for people to review the maps, and then the public hearing starts at 6:30. The planning board is required to hold that public hearing because they're considered the authority that hears zoning ordinance changes, and that is considered a zoning, flood zone ordinance change. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
So,
I just did. Yeah. Yep.
you're
So-
looking for preliminary?
No, I think I'm just going to run through these articles.
So we're just
Yeah.
getting them out.
Yeah, we're not voting.
So there would be a floodplain management ordinance article, The second, or it would be Article 3, because the first article is always to choose a moderator. The second one would be floodplain. This is your warrant, so you can change the order if you'd like, but this is how we've prepared it. Article 3 has already had a public hearing. It is to amend the town site plan review ordinance to provide a way to get the code enforcement office inspection assistance for certain site plans that come before you. I think when some of them are of a certain scope and magnitude, the ability of the code office to kind of oversee that or inspect that is really beyond the capacity of the code office, so we're looking to insert this language, and I don't know if you'd like to speak at all to that issue. But I'm assuming you're supportive of it, yeah. And that has been through a public hearing at the planning board level. We have similar language in the subdivision ordinance that allows us to have the applicant pay for these professional consulting kinds of, issues that we need help with. And in this case, the applicant would pay for this inspection assistance. It would not be something that sort of taxpayers would pay for, it would be the applicant. And then Article 4, this is coming to the town through change in state law. We need to use the definition of accessory dwelling unit. The town's current ordinance uses the term accessory residential unit, so we would be striking that, and we would use the definition that has been provided to us. I think this comes out of state law, but I would have to defer to the planner. We may have made a few changes to make sure it was in sync with our own ordinances.
Yeah,
This is going to have a public hearing next week, same place that we're having the public hearing on the FEMA.
I think it came out of LD 2003.
Okay, yeah. I think it's fairly similar to what we had, but I don't think we want to be using accessory residential unit when every other community has to use accessory dwelling unit. So we're just trying to be consistent.
Yeah, there's a little more to it than that.
Yeah. And then Article 5 gets into more of the detail about what an accessory dwelling unit is and how the code office will review those and ensure that they meet the requirements of the ordinance. And again, I think if you want to understand the policy at the state level was to try to create situations where there could be more diversity of housing in Harpswell. So if you had a principal residence, that's one thing, but now I think outside the shoreland zone, this is going to open up perhaps more opportunity for these accessory dwelling units.
And it's also an option to have the ADU within the primary residence. It could be it could be a freestanding building or within the residence
Correct.
itself.
Tim may want to comment.
I just want to bring up also another key word that everybody's using at the meeting that I just went to is the tiny homes. Tiny home by definition is no bigger than 400 square feet, but you get this big thing with mobile home, modular homes, tiny homes. Does it have wheels? Is it registered? Does it have a foundation? And when the town planner always came down and talked to me about it, I said, I don't know. It's changing so fast. We're just going to stay by our well and septic rules. You might have a lot, but if you can't put a septic on it that isn't going to support a dwelling, no matter what you want to call it, we got a bottleneck. So far, that's what I've stood by as the rule of where we're going. But I know these other rules are going to impact it. So I just want to make sure we're all know all of the different terms that we're up against and whether or not it has wheels or not.
It does refer to wastewater disposal
Right.
in this language. Have you had a chance to review it?
That's it.
It does refer to have needing the subsurface wastewater disposal. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, but in the language at the state, it says public. I don't know what that one says, but then in another sentence after that, oh, do you have a well? Do you have a septic? That is considered public. That was also discussed at the last meetings. So,
This one doesn't mention public.
good,
Yeah.
I think. Just,
Right.
I look at that as, then it has to meet the subsurface waters.
Yeah.
It does refer to
Criteria.
that here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Article 6, again, this issue has not yet been discussed by the planning board, but it would be an amendment to the basic land use ordinance that would allow the conversion of an existing one-unit residential use to a two-unit residential use. And so we've put the table in the warrant, and then there would be this addition of note 6. And again, I know the planner could speak to this. I believe that this issue came from the Affordable Housing Group
It did.
as one of the ideas that might allow for more diversity in housing in Harpswell. And it does say they have to meet the main subsurface wastewater disposal rules in this proposed language. Again, it will be up to the select board. I don't believe that we're required to do that one, but I think the ADU one, we're, under state law, we're supposed to come into compliance with that, so. So those are just the issues at this time. We have talked about whether or not we might need an article, maybe in the road maintenance area or town landings area because of, you know, again, the destruction from the January storms. We're still having some assessments done. We have Ocean Street, our engineer is going out to visit next week. So we have just been assigned a program manager by FEMA to review all of our public infrastructure issues. And, you know, we're just concerned that the FEMA program is reimbursement-based, meaning we have to spend our dollars first, and then we get reimbursed. So we're not sure if we have enough money in the road maintenance budget to deal with some of these maintenance issues. If they're capital issues, we have money in the capital budget for road issues, and I think Little Island Road is definitely a capital project. I mean, that thing was really decimated. So we're still kind of looking at these situations, and we don't want to kind of spring it at the last minute, but it's possible we might need some more funding. And I will say an update on our insurance claim for the town dock. So we received an initial payment in the $20,000 range. We're expected to get a second one in the $60,000 range. That's not necessarily the final one, but we're getting closer to what we believe we should receive. There is a holdback that they don't pay out until you actually replace the structure. So this is a conversation the town will need to have. And our deductible under that particular program was $15,000, and we can apply to FEMA to receive our deductible. So again, if we move forward with replacement, we're going to get some insurance money, should get our deductible from FEMA. And so I think that's moving in the right direction.
Great.
So
2
you're looking
weeks
for
from now.
approval for this one?
No,
at
we're
this
just,
point?
we're just looking,
Okay.
put it out there. I mean, if you have some, if the board has some feedback on
Because our
the
next meeting-
organization of the warrant,
Right.
issues you think we may be overlooking.
Can I ask a couple questions on the giant stairs, or are we?
No.
We haven't got there yet.
Hold that thought, I know you're anxious.
I know. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, I'll wait.
Next.
All right.
So really,
So
this is
it
just for informational
Yeah,
purposes.
looks fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've been looking at these the last 6 months.
If you find typos too, that's helpful.
Okay. We'll look closely.
I was looking for them.
Yeah, well, there was a writer and a school teacher involved in some of these, so most of the discussions were about punctuation. All right, storm damage repairs to certain town properties.
This is that topic. I'll just introduce it, and then there may be questions from the public. So everyone's well aware we had several properties damaged by the January storms, and one of which was our Giant Stairs Trail. Sadly, in fall of 2023, we had put the project out to bid to restore that trail back to 2008 8 when we did our massive improvement. The work was completed in the fall by R.A. Weber and Sons, and then the storm washed the entire trail away, including all that new work, obviously. So we reached back out to Weber's, have an estimate to do it with some changes, because the first time, it was missed in the estimate that they were not gonna top it with the stone that,
Gravel.
the gravel that makes it easier for walking and compacts it all together. And so that estimate to do the work, including also have them this time hammering out the one very severe ledge outcropping that every time is covered up with material, it will erode away. That ledge outcropping needs to be removed.
I gotta correct that.
Please do, Chris.
That ledge was left there on purpose.
Okay?
It was actually, you know, to the nature of the path. And I complained about it, saying people were gonna get hurt, and sure enough, people got hurt on that ledge. It was approved by the town to leave that ledge sticking out of there. It doesn't wash away, it's never been covered, I just wanna say, mistake, you know, whatever. But that ledge was approved by the town to leave sticking up out of that. So,
The first time the trail was improved, Chris,
yeah,
as you know, I was
2008.
As you know, I was part of that improvement project, and the Marine Corps that did that, that ledge outcropping was completely covered.
No,
So
it wasn't.
It may have been a little, okay, regardless.
I
we'll-
give you a disc
we'll-
of the photos.
We'll agree to disagree, but I think it's a good thing that we're going to the point of having it hammered out.
I do too.
You agree? Thank you.
I just wanted to straighten that part out.
Okay.
And secondly, for some reason, what happened to the other half of it, or the other third of it? Why are we only doing from Ocean Street to the Giant Stairs when the original project went from Ocean Street to the Land Trust land? Why are we skipping the second half? You've driven all the traffic down to that end now.
Good question. That original project had gone past the monument?
He didn't go past the monument on the last, when he just did it recently.
No, I know.
But the original trail that we did in 2008 went from the Land Trust land to Ocean Street,
It was severely decreased, though. It was not the path that.
4 feet
Right. It
instead of
was-
6.
And then because it hooks up with the land trust one shortly after that, which is then.
Yeah, well, we know the
This-
land trust doesn't maintain anything they have, so, I mean, very little maintenance. So I'm just wanna make sure that we understand that that still belongs to the Giant Stairs Trail and doesn't end up
We
in
still
the.
have our signs up.
Yeah.
I know, but if
I
you don't
testify.
maintain the path and you drove all the cars down there, you took all the parking away on the corner because of people complaining or threats of lawsuits, now you got all the parking down on a path that you can't even meet a person on without going in the bushes.
Not all the parking. You can still park at the church, Chris.
Yeah.
You can
What,
still-
3 places? Terry, I know better.
I must get lucky, because every time I go there, I'm able to park there with my mother's wheelchair, so.
And it was all done because somebody's land, somebody had a pin in the new tar road, you know, and, well, we're gonna take away those 5 good spots on the corner because he has a pin out there. I got a pin, the tarred over my land, what can I do about it? I'm not gonna do anything about it, but my point is, that was a blind corner. It's always been a blind corner. It had nothing to do with the vehicles parked on that corner. It has to do with the bushes that are growing on that corner. You take the cars away, you still can't see around the corner because there's bushes on that corner. And I was just looking at my original 1909 survey of the entire area. You know, that's 40 feet wide. That's 40 feet wide there. Somebody drilled a well on it. Somebody put in boulders on it, which, by the way, according to the ordinance, it says 8 feet from the tar on boulders. I just looked it up. They're being put all over town, 3 feet from the tar. Have we just given up on the entire right-of-way? We went from 8 feet down to 3 feet. And I still think we own what's not being used today. You never know, we might need that land someday. You know, when a road is 2 rods like Steamboat, that's 32 feet. And I had somebody recently tell me, oh, no, that's only 10 feet wide. Why do you think that's only 10 feet wide? Because the town acts like it's 10 feet wide. That's why. But anyway, that path goes all the way to the land trust land. And I think that 4 feet, I mean, I broke the plan out one day here and showed it to you in writing. The entire path went the entire way. And on my entire deed, it was a road, as you know. And while I'm here, I'm gonna bring up Ocean Street too, because people, I've told this story 20 times, but it doesn't seem to register. Ocean Street was part of the Giant Stairs land. It was given to them at the same time. You know how many houses were on Ocean Street? 0. It was made for the Giant Stairs. It wasn't made for the 3 or 4 millionaire houses that are going in down there. It was made for the Giant Stairs access. So, there it is, the original deed. And I'm curious of why that new survey that says Harpswell on the pins is so far from Brian's in 2008. Are we doing a new survey every 20 years until we get the result we want?
I don't know what you're talking about, Chris.
There's pins down there that say Harpswell and they're brand new.
We have not had it surveyed since Johnson did it for us.
I just looked at one. And I think it might have something to do with that new house, you know, the new lot that's being built with the new septic and everything.
So they may have conducted
Well, I don't
their
know
own
why the
survey.
pin says Harpswell on it, but anyway, it's 5 feet from Brian's, at least in several places. And I'm like, how can that survey be so different in such short a period of time?
We haven't heard anything about this.
Yeah.
We obviously, our property,
All
the
right.
town property is the town property.
Anyway, I got my point. The Giant Stairs Path goes to the land trust. Actually, it goes,
Goes beyond.
yeah, it goes beyond,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't recommend anything there.
No, but let's make sure everybody knows it does
But-
go beyond. You can go over the hard rocks, go all the way around. It looks like you're trespassing on somebody's property, but actually their deck is on the town's property from many, 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 many years ago. You go around that and you can go to the Thunder Hole on the
And
backside.
I recommended against that from day one. When that
Against
crew was
continuing.
down there, I said, no, don't do that to them. Those people, their houses hang out over the town land and the ledges are just too rugged for people to walk on.
People do
It
it.
was I know.
It's
And
a
it got
beautiful
done
sight.
anyway.
It's a beautiful sight.
And guess who got blamed for it? The people that live down there. Oh, yeah, you did this. I said, no, actually, I was against that part of the trail, which is unusual for me, but it's rugged. I mean, I wouldn't want people down there walking. But I'll get to something else at the end about that.
So Chris just covered a lot of topics there. I'm not sure if the board was taking on parking or some other matters, but I do.
Well, something I haven't said before.
Right. But getting back to at least getting the trail back to where it needs to belong. I will ask Weber's to give me the pricing to, thank you for that reminder, Chris.
Especially if you're getting FEMA to help out. I mean,
Yes, so
pay
I'll be in
first,
touch
and
with
then they
Weber's on
reimburse.
that. I don't know if you, we can certainly, if approved tonight by the select board for $7,814, I could inform Weber's and they could get started on that, and I would obtain the balance cost for the remainder of the work and bring that at your next meeting.
We're getting that amount done.
414.
Well, so you have to add $400 for the ledge outcrop removal.
Oh, that's, okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I thought the copy I made for your
No,
books had my.
That's
full
414.
that's
info on
right.
that. So
$7,800.
$7,814.
Okay.
And I don't know if you want to take these individually, or if you'd like me to.
No, yeah, let's do them individually.
Yeah, and before you move on, I didn't quite follow you, Terry, on the other part. What would the additional part be?
So from the monument to
To where the land
where
trust.
it marries up to the
Okay.
land trust.
So you're going to investigate that as
Yes,
another piece?
yes.
Okay,
This doesn't include that.
It does not.
got it.
But we could,
it's hard walking,
we could get
Yep.
started on this one.
Good, great.
and you've driven all the traffic down there. I feel bad for those people, I really do.
I hope they're not allergic to poison ivy.
You took away at least a dozen to 15 spots.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Disappeared. I mean, and then you put them all down on the south end where, you know, there's a story I'm gonna tell you about an elderly man at the end.
Well, yeah,
That has to do with that.
hold on to it, don't spoil it yet.
Oh, I'm sure you've already heard.
I probably
I
have.
whispered around to the right people, so I'm, you know, making sure that it was gonna get to you first.
All right. Well, I move we approve this for Weber's for $7,814.
Second,
All in favor?
And just one other follow-up on giant stairs that Chris alluded to is the town engineer's going down next week to, you have to actually climb down the first, right when you enter onto the trail, you take that first entrance down to the beach, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
And then look at Ocean Street from that side. Chris reports that there's massive erosion going on there, that we, in order to save our property, we need some work to be done, so the engineer is scheduled to go down.
That's an interesting story. They built a mine for the soapstone in between the two high ledges that protected that. And then these last two storms, the protection is just gone. So now it's not gonna take a big storm. It's just a regular, normal storm is gonna make it collapse, literally. And can I ask if you could have somebody from the Harbor and Waterfront Committee or Land Committee or the Road Commissioner go with the engineer? I'd like to see a few people look at this, right?
Sure.
I mean, Ocean Street didn't come out so well with an engineer. Washington Avenue had to be done twice with an engineer. The boat launch has, you know, it's there's still a foot of sand on it. I mean, the engineer thing, I'd like them to be a little bit babysat, like they do the committees.
Yeah.
Be nice. Pay a road commissioner, right? Yeah, he should be down there.
Okay,
Anyway,
I'll pass that on.
Moving on.
So the other two properties, the town suffered some damage at experienced some damage at Potts Point Boat Launch. The pavement where it matches up to Route 123 eroded, and we do have an estimate to replace that riprap and make that back to a safe, usable launch for $6,420. And I will say, Christie alluded to this prior to this, this item on the agenda, is FEMA, our claim is finally moving along, and FEMA has indicated, you know, go ahead, fix your properties, and they have a meeting tomorrow with our FEMA direct contact to go over all these costs, and as Christie said, it's reimbursement based.
Great.
So we would like to get these all repaired for busy seasons.
well, I move we contract with Weber's for $6,420 to do the Potts Point boat launch.
Second.
All in favor?
I-
And the last one is Graveyard, last one this evening is Graveyard Point. This property is very interesting. If anybody's ever been down there, it looks like it's very narrow at the end, and we had some concrete boat launch placed at the bottom, but you can't really launch a boat there, but you can carry or you could a skiff, I guess, but canoes and kayaks go in there, and it's for safe walking down to the beach. But we have to get a new sign up there because apparently that was taken down as well. The house at the end on the left, it looks like that's all their property, but that whole grassy area many years ago, to make sure that we claim, you know, stake our property and make sure the public is aware of how far they can go. It looks like you're going on that house's front lawn, but we had landscape timbers installed at the lawn level. And so you can go up on this lawn. The town actually put a bench there, a granite bench too, for the public to sit and be able to look out, and the waves took the granite bench down, but that can be reset. And so we maintain that area. So Graveyard Point, behind that retaining wall, the waves had eroded behind the retaining wall on our portion up to the landscape timbers. The homeowners are also repairing their portion. For the safety of the whole wall, everybody has to have.
Didn't wash out any graves this time, though.
No, thank goodness. And the town's parking area that was acquired several years ago, that has a lot of debris on it and washed away. And so that repair is really 3 different areas. It's the launch, it's the parking, and it's the retaining wall for $8,094.
I move we approve that for Weber's.
Second.
All in favor?
And so all of these,
My first official trip in the land trust, on the land committee, was down there. And I went down and looked at it recently, and I noticed there's a couple of concrete slabs that are in their driveway. And I thought, well, that's all, we're missing a couple down Market Cove. Just curious if that's where they came from. Not by the storm, by the town picking them up and driving them over there. So if those are the last 2 pieces of the American Cove one, can we get them back?
It's my understanding those were the ones that were there, and the water turned some sideways and all of the above, but we certainly wouldn't take some boat launch material from one site and just bring it over and set it on top of another site.
You certainly wouldn't.
We would not.
Well, where are the 2 pieces that are missing from the American Cove? Hold on.
You'll have to ask the storm.
No, they didn't get washed out.
Ask Mother Nature.
Incomplete. The job was incomplete. They tried to put the balloon things up to hold the water out, remember, and it got a problem. They just ran into so many problems. And then they just said, we quit. But there was 2 sections more that were supposed to go in there.
So I know why you're coming out here, because you want him to go to the podium to speak. Nobody can hear you. All the important people at home, we can hear you,
Oh.
but no one else
Have the
can.
1980s back.
No.
That's what I like to have.
I know.
A building full of people that had an opinion.
And they would just speak up.
Nobody wants to come up here and stand there.
Well, if you want everyone else to hear your opinion, that's what you have to do.
Moving on.
So the,
What's that?
Moving on.
Because it was kind of odd with us, 2 pieces, and there they are, you know, that's like, oh.
so the total of all 3 of those projects, $22,328, which we currently do have in our town lands budget, which we'll expend it through there until FEMA reimbursement's able to come through, because we do need the funds for maintenance of our town lands.
Great.
Ooh,
What she said.
got a pile of envelopes.
They
Yes,
did
we did, individually.
Yes, we did,
Yep.
yeah.
Only because I went down and saw the bench that had fallen over, and at the moment, I can't remember, is there a little pad under that? I don't believe so. I'm just suggesting that maybe we should look at putting a small pad under that. I'm just afraid any other water coming there, that's why it's always going to tip over. The ground's going to get soft, it's going to fall over, it's very heavy. But if it was sitting on a pad, it would be more stable.
I can't recall
Before.
if there was a pad, Tim.
There's a
I-
pad under it. Is there? And it was standing up perfectly straight when I went down there, long after the storms. I sat on it. So if that got knocked over, it got knocked over recently, not by the storms.
When I saw it, it was knocked over.
Yeah. And Tim had gone down right after the storms, and it had been knocked over. In the picture that Paul took, it had been knocked
I
over,
didn't
so.
tie it to Potts
Huh.
Point. I couldn't help but notice down at Potts Point, the sign that said no overnight parking. When we lost that, we worked Great American Cove for 100 years, but now we have hours. So I almost picked up the sign off the ground and brought it back with me, but it's laying on the ground.
I know. I just wonder if you were done.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
For now.
Yeah, I know.
Well, you know, I missed the last week, last week.
Open vehicle
I
business.
had a meeting last night.
All right.
No, he has them all.
Bids?
Huh? All right, we've got the almighty vehicle bids here.
Uh-huh. Oh, look at all those.
11.
Oh, my goodness.
Here,
You want-
I'll open, you read.
Oh, good, great. The name and the amount is what you want?
Yep.
Keeps track of it.
All right, this is from Jeff Rapp, doing business as Auto Drive Sales and Service. $6,800. Vincent
Opedizano.
Opedisato, $5,000.
Nice try, Lucky.
Harpswell truck bid, Isabel Say, or C, $10,000.
10?
That's what it says.
Might want to put that.
What's the year on it?
17.
Avery Anderson, $7,026.50.
Should've brought my jackknife.
Ronald Pelletier, $5,556.
Patience.
Oh, I didn't see, no, those are the empty ones. Thank you. Virginia Appadisano, $6,102.47. Jerry Lehman, $8,001. Neil Favreau, $7,200.
Ooh, getting there.
Benjamin Abbott, $5,337.00. John Faticanti, $6,000. Robert O'Brien, $13,500. Wow.
Somebody wanted it. There was a disclaimer right on the windshield, right?
Yes.
Oh, it definitely said
Yeah.
as is, and that there was
And on the
electrical and
bid,
mechanical issues.
$134,000 road miles,
They're
but
more or
not
less
engine
in order.
miles.
Biggest on the top.
So the last bid was the highest.
It was 13.5, and then the next highest was 10, but just in case.
Just in case the last one changed their mind.
Yep.
Do you wanna accept that?
All right. All set?
Move to accept the highest bid, and if we don't seal the deal, go to the next. And the
Yep.
next.
Correct.
So moved.
Yep.
So
Second.
moved.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Public comment?
Oh, show and tell.
First of all, I want to know who made this.
Made
What
what?
department in this town made this map?
Land trust.
The Land Trust.
Land trust.
Well, it says Town of Harpswell and Land Trust.
I know
But
it
this
does-
one does look like it's the Land Trust.
Does have our seal
That's
on
their
it.
website.
Notice something unusual about it?
It says
Oh,
private
Ocean
next to
Street,
Ocean
private,
Street.
yeah.
It says private on Ocean Street.
Yeah. which-
There's 6 roads that don't say anything that are
Yeah.
private.
It
The
is.
only public road down there, it says private. Now, that is unacceptable. And there was an old man that caused him a lot of grief because his daughter wouldn't let him walk out that street because she saw that. And luckily, I was there, and the guy gave me a giant hug because it was the edge of dark, and he was gonna have to go all the way back to the other end. He was 85 years old. And I said, I assure you, that is a public road. Well, it says right here. His daughter did not want him to walk out private road.
We'll have to get in touch with the land trust, that's obviously not correct.
And we didn't want to advertise it
It's
after
not just correct, that's corrupt.
after the debacle of the parking and everything that we had down there. We didn't want to advertise it anymore. Remember?
Was this printed from a website?
I took it out of the box down, because the daughter of the old man, I said, what's the problem? They were pretty upset. And she showed me, and I'm like, oh my God. There's 6 roads on that map that go to the giant stairs. 5 of them are private. 1 is public. The only one that says private is the public one.
You're right, yeah, yeah.
Somebody did that on purpose. And you know how I know all this? Because somebody keeps taking the Ocean Street sign. I keep straightening it out so you can see it, and I go back down and they have it crooked so you can't see it. I've done it at least 5 times. And the last time I did it, I stuck it in really good. And I came back and they had folded the sign. So I think it's time, I mean, if you guys give me, you know how good my signs stay.
We need to put a trail camera on it.
My signs have been there since, 2008 that I put in with concrete. I'll go put that sign in with concrete if you don't mind. You got any problem with me
I don't mind.
putting that in with concrete?
I don't mind.
I think we ought to check with the road commissioner.
Yeah, all right, we'll check the Ponzi. I'll have breakfast with them in the morning.
So that's a get nothing done deal, basically. Okay.
So discussion with the land
Thank
trust.
you.
Anybody else, public comment?
George Prince, Harpswell Neck. I have a few questions and comments regarding aquaculture, and you may or may not be able to answer them, and I apologize for not doing my due diligence ahead of time, but I'll certainly have this information before I show up again. And maybe you can answer these, Darcy, as well. Can anyone tell me how many leases there currently are and how much acreage they take up in Harpswell?
Oh,
Darcy,
I actually researched that for the last meeting. I think,
oh, you want to?
sorry.
stand up.
Oh, that's fine.
Stay right
Sorry,
there.
sorry.
Stand together.
Okay.
I can't remember the split between LPAs and full leases, but I did do the acreage because I was curious about that. And I think it ended up being, the LPAs are 0.85 acres total. There's about 92 or 93 of those. And then the full leases, I can't remember that one exactly, but I think it's around 40 acres. And that one, don't quote me on, but I'm
Okay.
sure about the
Roughly,
LPAs, because I thought
roughly.
that was like weird.
Okay.
I remember doing, I was gonna, if we got into that explanation, I did a calculation of like, all of the leases and the LPAs would fit into about a third of Mitchell Field, because I wanted to do like a, a way to look at it that made sense to everybody here. So that's what I remember doing.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So we're talking about over 40 acres, 41 acres. 1 acre is 43,560 square feet. I fish 800 lobster traps spread out over the entirety of Casco Bay and shared waters. My 800 traps take up 6,400 square feet. I share the water with other lobstermen, scallopers, purse seiners, gill netters, divers, and recreational boaters. I fish within feet of other fishermen every day, sometimes underneath of. I used to fish offshore. I fished very close to groundfish boats, herring seiners, midwater trawlers, and drimpers when we had a season. When the bottom is leased only to one person, only that one person can use it. Even if the lease area is allowed to be transited by fishermen, it is impossible to fish underneath of a floating farm. My question, which I'm sure you can't answer, when did the ocean go up for sale? I think a lot of us would like to know the answer to that. So my comment is that I'd respectfully ask any of the powers that be going forward to think twice before we lease any more bottom and put several industries at risk for the sake of another science project. Thank you.
Anybody else?
David Wilson, Harpswell Neck. If I may ask Darcy, and correct me if I'm wrong, but each LPA, they have setbacks, correct? Circumference setback around,
Not for like activity around them, it's, there is a density limit, like they can only be 4 LPAs within 1,000 feet of each other, but I don't believe there's setbacks for other activity. But I'm not 100% sure. so.
yeah, because I thought that there was a 300-foot setback around LPAs, depending on what type of fishing you was conducting.
I don't think so, but I'm not sure, so I can try and look it up while I'm sitting here, but.
All right, yeah, that'd be awesome.
I don't want to be wrong.
Yeah,
I'll
all
check
right.
on it.
And again, I can't thank you all enough for considering establishing a workshop. You know, months ago, I was gonna go through town and gather signatures and address this issue and this concern of mine. And I was shocked at the amount of signatures I still could, to this day, gather with these exact concerns from fishermen and residents in Harpswell. So I just want to thank you guys, you know, for me not having to go that route, and yeah, working with us, and hopefully we can come up with a
Yep.
resolution.
I think we have a good group. We have 2 lobstermen fish either side of the bay,
Yep.
either side of town, western, eastern.
Yeah,
Darcy's bringing a science background,
yeah,
a
you
couple
know,
of the stakeholders.
yeah, you know, and you know, like I think you've heard me say it before, but just I really hate to see the interest, you know, in fishing and a heritage just be swayed towards and directed, and you know, thinking that this is going to be the future. So yeah, again, thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Other business?
So there's a few items. 2 more wharf leases at the Oars Island Bridge have been turned in for Scott Morgan and James Morgan. And the fees have been paid and insurance has been provided. If you would, the board would consider signing those.
Certainly consider.
What's the deadline on the wharf leases?
Well, they can't attach to their wharf until they sign the leases.
Oh.
And then
So-
if they don't, there is a certain number of days. If you don't within a certain number of days, then
I think a couple of them don't even take them out.
You got to start over again.
you have 75 days from the time that the lease is sent out to you to turn it back into the town. I'll have to check with the harbor master if these are the last 2 or not.
Do I have any abandoned yet?
I'll have to check with the harbor master. They may have all been signed already. Let me check.
There's one just north of Davis that I don't see a whole lot of activity on.
Okay. I'll check into that. The other thing is, would the board like to set its non-resident taxpayer meeting?
Yes.
We kind of picked a date.
Yeah, we were looking at July 1st or 2nd, wondering if you wanted to.
July 1st is a Monday, or if that's too early, if you thought before the 4th, if you want to go past the 4th, Monday the 15th or Tuesday the 16th?
I think might be more people around towards the middle of the month.
Want to do Tuesday the 16th?
Yep. And where?
At
Well, we've got to work on that.
Harpswell Community Schools, we're going to check with.
Yeah. Where did we have the last one? Do you remember?
At the,
Schoolhouse.
yes, it
Yeah.
was.
Right.
6 o'clock?
Sure.
Sure.
And then you had your.
So a couple of other items. So Goral Palmer, our engineering firm, is working on a proposal to put, sorry, thank you. Goral Palmer, the town's engineer, is working on a proposal that would enable the town to utilize the contractor that it used for Basin Point Road, All States Construction, to get started on Peabody Road. So he couldn't be here tonight. He wanted to talk about the proposal with you. So we are looking at next Thursday at 4, having a special
Yeah.
meeting. Is that going to work for you?
Are we going to let the people on Peabody Road
We,
know?
there's one person that really wanted to be notified. There's going to be a community meeting at some
That's what I
point.
was getting at. Is that what this is?
For this meeting, I
No.
don't think so. I mean, I will notify the one person that has had a special interest who spoke at town meeting about this being on your agenda next Thursday at 4. But I think there will be a larger, meeting to invite people in
Yeah.
at some point. I don't know when.
So next Thursday at
May
4.
30th.
Next Thursday at 4. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, the Affordable Housing Work Group has been looking at this concept called home sharing, and they have invited a representative of Maine State Housing to come next week, and they would like the Select Board to be made aware of that, so I will send you out an invitation. It'll be kind of a joint workshop of the Select Board and the Affordable Housing Committee, and it will be here at the town office. It will be on our calendar. Do you know the date
have the date.
and time? It just escapes me at the moment. But
I don't.
Anyway, I just wanted to mention that. It will be on the calendar.
I go
Next
back
week.
to the 50 or 60 emails.
It's really discussion to learn more about what the concept means, how the town of Harpswell might play a role in educating the public about home sharing. Apparently, it's been used in Vermont quite a bit.
They call it
and
Nesterly or something.
Nesterly is the entity that I guess we'll hear more about. So just
Great.
wanted to mention that.
Is that it?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. In that case, we're adjourned.